Ja. Og Jason Bonsignore went from the NHL and into the Speedway sport. Per-Olof Serenius is a living world ice Speedway legend. We will talk to both of them tonight. And this is Speedway Crazy Show. How are you, Kuba?
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks a lot.
Are you well? You've been a little bit sick?
No.
No.
No, it's okay.
Oh, you were like sick. Oh, I'm sick, so I don't need to work. Sick?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, so I guess you planned something because in just a couple of weeks we have the sparring season starts in Poland.
Yeah.
And what will you do?
I think I travel to, I don't know, maybe Bydgoszcz, maybe Poznań, maybe Gorzów.
Ah, it's cool, cool.
Not far away from Pila, and
So
maybe,
you will, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but you will have this hazmat mask and long stick with a microphone, everything inside the Corona rules. Instead of guns, you will have these dispensers with the alcohol cleaner. You know, yeah.
no. Yes. Oh.
Cool, cool.
Yes, of course. I
think
have
I can see
a lot of things, and I am ready for.
So you're ready to start your 2021 season terrorizing the Speedway world.
Yeah, it's my first.
Can't wait.
Yes,
I
of
can't.
course.
But it's your first time in English. You will do that.
Yeah, of course. And it was my first season after a gap in Polonia Piła,
How many years is that? 8 years? 5 years?
1 year. In 2020, I
You
never.
did? No, you didn't. You had free 2020.
Yes, but in 2020,
Yeah.
I don't see Speedway live.
Okay, dobra. We will talk to you later next week. Okay?
Yes.
Have
Okay.
a nice time. Bye.
Bye.
Get your favorite rider in a Speedway Canvas today. Buy them at speedwaycanvas.com. And there we have Jason Bonsignore in the dark.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good. How are you? Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see you. So it's a little bit dark. You should actually have a little bit more light, but we can go with what you have. You should be okay.
Okay, there. It sounds better now too.
Yeah. So, how is Speedway in United States these days?
Well, it's had its challenges. It's been really difficult during the COVID situation because the tracks in California were not allowed to open at all last season. Other than Steve Evans had some back gate type events at Paris Speedway without spectators. We were pretty fortunate in New York because we were able to open halfway through the season with spectators at one of our facilities. and we had the best half a year we've had in 20 seasons, so that was great.
So you kind of managed to get something out of it anyway, while everyone else had to lock down.
Yeah, we were fortunate. We were one of the few places for entertainment that was able to do anything. So I think it really, we benefited from it. We were able to get quite a few spectators. Like I said, our best spectator crowds we've had in 20 years. So we were pretty pleased. Now the big question is going to be whether it continues into this season or not.
Okay, I understand. When you say this is a record in the spectator numbers, what numbers are we talking about here?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a record. I mean,
but it's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, over the years we've had 2,000 or 3,000 people pretty regularly at the facilities back in the 70s and 80s. Since then, times have changed a lot, and a good crowd could be anywhere from 300 or 400 people these days in American Speedway to 2,000 or 3,000, for some of Costa Mesa and Fast Friday special events out in California. But last season, we were able to average about 600 to 800 for our last 6 races in a row, which, today's day and age, to have that many people sitting in the bleachers was pretty good for us,
Yeah. I understand that. So you have some numbers over there. I got another question because I've been thinking for so many years, United States is a quite big country and you got vast spaces of open areas. You agree with me? Like lots of properties,
yeah.
Which is like empty. It's nothing there. So how come all the tracks in USA are so small? Why don't you have the 300-meter tracks like they have in Poland or in Europe? Why are your tracks so small?
Well, what happened was when Speedway was reborn in the late 60s in California, Jack Milne and Harry Oxley and a gentleman by the name of Dude Criswell opened up a couple of facilities out there, but they were at rodeo arenas. So rodeo arenas were kind of rodeo arenas were an easy place to try to hold races because there was already bleachers and there was lights and some of the spectator amenities were already there. Plus there was already a dirt surface in the rodeo rings, So that's how Speedway started taking place in America on these small tracks. They were just basically bullring rodeo arenas. Yeah. And, it never really got away from that because it was, although the speeds are slower, the excitement value was so great because the racing was so close and there was so much passing inside those small stadiums. And it also put the spectators right on top of the action. So it was a pretty successful formula in American Speedway to do it that way. And it allowed for a lot more possible venues, so you didn't have to start from scratch,
Yeah. Because I went to Argentina in 2006, and I was racing down there, and down there the tracks are the same as in Europe. They're like big, large tracks, wide tracks. They even race 12 people on the same track, in their heats. In that time in their formula, it's not the standard formula which we are used to from Europe. But anyway, the tracks was like quite large tracks, and then we always see the pictures from New York and from Costa Mesa in California. This is smaller rings, but I understand it also makes your riders specialists in slick surfaces and in doing the tight corners.
Yeah, I mean Bruce Penhall and Bobby Schwartz and all those guys that went over in the 80s or in the late 70s and early 80s to England and had such great success really credited American Speedway for being able to teach them throttle control and passing in traffic on the small racetracks. And there was a type of racing here in the States too that the promoters did for a lot of seasons. We still do a little bit of it, but handicap racing where the more experienced riders start further back and have to pass lesser experienced riders from behind in a matter of 4 to 6 laps at the most. So that really taught riders how to go through traffic and, keep your head up and pick your lines and use the outside and the inside to your advantage at different points, and use throttle control really instead of just hanging it wide open all the time.
Yeah, and this is something you're touching on now. I heard Jason Crump, no, not Jason Crump, I'm sorry, Greg Hancock talking about this with the throttle control. It's not always to just keep it there. He's found out that, okay, we need to take off a little bit on the straights just to get that last little grip, when he goes into the corner. And he's been using that
we
in the Grand Prix.
constantly talk about how there's guys.
Wait a little bit, Jason. We are lagging a little bit on your sound.
Oops, I had a little. Yeah, there was a little delay there. I was trying to listen to you.
Just start again right now. I think it will be okay right now.
I totally agree with Greg, and I've heard him and Billy Hamill talk about that kind of stuff all the time. And we constantly talk about riders, especially like in practice, that you watch them just go full speed and hang the throttle wide open, and they look great. And you're like, wow, that guy's going to be the next, main event winner next week or the next future world champion, and then they get into race conditions and it's a completely different ball game. The track conditions change. There's riders that fall in front of them and they can't change lines, or they haven't adapted to, different lines on the racetrack. They haven't tried different things in practice, and, they're great holding it wide open, but they're not racers yet,
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And this full throttle racing, everyone can do it, because when you're doing that alone on the track, that's the easiest way to ride. Everyone can do it. Of course, as long as you get away this scareness, or not being so scared of the sound and everything of the engine because it's making more noise than normal. But full speed racing alone on the track is the easiest thing you can do. So, but
100%, yeah.
How did it come that you are a former NHL professional hockey player? That was your job, playing hockey, and now you're in Speedway. How is that possible at all?
Well, I'll tell you the background. My father was one of the early pioneers of the rebirth of Speedway on the East Coast here back in the mid-'70s when they got it going again, and he was one of the star guys for a lot of years. In fact, he was still just racing up until 2 years ago. So I grew up at the racetrack, and I just had a huge fondness and love for Speedway and motorcycles in general. And was really heartbroken that the scene had died out here in New York State. The tracks that were real successful back in the 70s and 80s and kind of hung on into the 90s a little bit had all closed. And it was really sad because I had such great memories as a child of this awesome sport and these facilities. So when I started making some money, my own resources there, making some money playing hockey, I sort of set out to, at first, get some bikes because I wanted to learn how to ride and just have some.
We have some lagging again. We have some lagging again, Jason. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, sorry, I'm not sure what's going on here.
No, but it's probably it's only internet. Just continue where you left off when I stopped you.
Okay, so I think I left off where I said that I just started buying some old bikes again.
Yeah.
And my dad and I went out on the ice, and he was teaching me to ride a little bit, and then I got really hooked again, and we started going up to Canada and riding at one track up there that was kind of, the one track left. And then I was real anxious to try to get something going in New York State again, closer to home. And we tried looking for land and starting something from scratch, but it's just so difficult to deal with town boards and zoning issues and to find the right piece of property where you can, attract spectators to it. And it's got different pieces of the puzzle. So anyways, to make a long story short, I opened up the one facility in Owego, New York that was kind of the most famous of all of them. I started renting it and renovated it because it was falling apart and trees were growing in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah.
So we got that going again, and then I ran that for several years and then purchased it and did a major renovation after that on it, and then bought another racetrack down in that area that was the other most popular facility, and then got a third one going at one point. And Sean McConnell and I started a track in California again for 5 years, the old inland motorcycle speedway that was real popular in San Bernardino, California, and have done some fair shows at different fairgrounds and ice races on different hockey arenas, and just been really involved in it for 25 years again now.
So because of your father, you fell in love with this sport, and you never forgot about the sport, despite being a professional athlete in a totally different type of sport. And you came back to the sport, to the speedway sport, and you gave your all. You gave your money, your time, everything. You brought in friends and sponsors and whatever. So you did all this job together with your colleagues.
Yeah, it's been a big undertaking. I've spent a lot of my money, pretty much all the money I made playing hockey went back into Speedway, on these properties. And
again, we have some
invested
lagging.
in a lot of stuff. And
wait a little bit, Jason. We again
sorry.
have some lagging. Just continue a little bit before I stopped you.
Okay, so I just was saying that, with my hockey resources,
And it stopped again for some reason. I don't know why it's lagging.
Did it lag again?
Yeah, it stopped
Sorry.
again. No. It's not your problem. I don't know. It's the World Wide Web problem. We can blame the web. Try again.
Anyways, bought some equipment and sponsored some riders, and I have like 10 junior bikes that we sponsor little kids with just to get them out there racing, and sponsored Chris Manchester and Josh Larson for a while when they were still racing in England, and gained a lot of friends all over the world through the sport, and, raced myself for 13 or 14 years, and my dad got back into racing and did real well for another 20 years, so it's been a lot of fun, and we're nowhere near done. We're just starting now, really.
Yeah, but I know I was the leader in Oslo Speedway 9 years, and we built up something big up there. Of course, the track is not in Oslo; it's far away from Oslo, but still, we built up something big there. And I know the energy, I know the passion, and when someone in the club have the passion, others will join too, because they see, oh, something is happening here. I have this notion from everyone I've been talking to that you've been this type of guy that has been pulling these strings, and then you got some other people to pull some other strings, and it's like automatically a positive thing that is growing. But this takes time, as you say, many years.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I wish I knew half of what I know now at age 43,
of course,
when I was 21 trying to do it the first time around, because you make a lot of mistakes that you regret later on, but I was a 21-year-old guy when I first started, and sure, we knew a lot about Speedway, but not necessarily about running a racetrack, and,
I know.
It's taken me all these years to really kind of start refining it and get better at it, and we still make a lot of mistakes, but I feel like we do a pretty darn good job for the most part, and we're sort of getting rewarded a little bit now because it's paying off. It's coming back.
It's when you get the numbers of riders that want to invest their time in this, new people from outside, when you get the spectators to come, pay the tickets, to be their supporters, and I think you're doing a great job. And I know what you're saying when you're like 21 years old. I think I was like 23 years old when I became leader in Oslo Speedway, the youngest person in history becoming a leader in a speedway club in Norway. And I didn't know anything. I went 1 year with Ole Olsen to learn how to be a leader, as a trainee, and how to build the tracks, how to make speedway events. And going with Ole Olsen was a door opener for me. So yeah, over here, it was a little bit shortcut because I lost many of my mistakes. But I like to invite you over to Europe so you can watch Speedway. I will bring you to Poland and England and everywhere, because then you can see the Speedway scenery. We talked a little bit before. You said you've never been to Poland and watched the Speedway here.
No, I've been all over the world for hockey,
Yeah.
but it's funny. People laugh when I say that I haven't seen Speedway overseas. I mean, I'm so knowledgeable about it because I followed it so carefully,
Yeah.
and I have good friends like Greg and Billy and Josh and John Cook and all those guys, Bruce Pennall and stuff, that have kind of educated me on all of that over the years. And I've watched so much video and read Speedway Star, but it would be great to see it in person. It was funny every time I was really close to make a plan, Josh or Chris over there, then something would, they'd get hurt or they'd take a season off, and it just never really worked out. And then during the season, I'm so busy over here running races that it kind of, it's a conflict, but
Yeah. But I know this issue when I was running my Speedway club. I wanted to go and watch some great Speedway in the Grand Prix or something, but the calendar is always an issue. Or I made a training session with some younger kids that is also in conflict with the Grand Prix race. So I couldn't go, So I understand you quite well, and that's how it is. But anyway, I really hope you will have great success up there in New York and with all other tracks. I didn't know that you were involved with so many tracks. We will talk a little bit later into the season, and I hope that this COVID nightmare, which we all in the Speedway world are living in right now, and all other sports too, will disappear soon, so we can
that would be great.
get full crowds and chairs and everything.
We're trying to start a new facility now too. I'm hopefully going to have some real big news in another week or two about buying a third facility that'll be really exciting, because I can have a quarter-mile speedway track there too for everybody to train on.
How much is a quarter mile?
Well, that's European size. That would be like an English or a Polish track.
Like 200 to 300 meter.
Yeah, 250 meters or so. It would be a lot bigger than an American track, which would be good for the guys to learn how to ride on that type of racetrack,
Yeah. No, it will be great, because the 265 is, I think, the 265 meter is the minimum requirement for FIM. For the length, of the track. Yeah, I think that's a minimum requirement. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this will be great because we're going to have an American-sized speedway track across the parking lot, and then I'll have multiple tracks within a car racing track. So I'll have the quarter-mile Stone Dust Speedway track too for the guys to practice on, and then maybe do some special events. So there's a whole lot of possibilities.
Yeah, as long as you can also finance it by adding someone else, adding some other types of sports inside your arena, then you manage to finance your
definitely.
arena, and then. But this is a question: do you race the standard FIM formula of speedway racing when you're racing in USA, or do you have your own system?
Well, there's all different sorts of race formats that we run in the States, but there's plenty of scratch championships too that are just like the Speedway Grand Prix format.
So you're racing also the standard issue FIM race formats also?
Yeah, for our championships, it's pretty much the GP format most times. We have one special event each year that we do where there's 4 main events at the end of the program. Yeah. And the riders each get a starting gate one time in each main event, so it's really fair, and it's very exciting for the crowd. There's 4 finals, okay. And everybody starts from a different gate, and that's really the most fair way of determining a championship, because everybody gets an equal starting position.
This sounds awesome. We need to run now. We have a date with Posa Serenius, but we will come back to you, because what you're doing over there, it sounds amazing, and we really want to hear about this new track. We will be in touch with you a little bit later. Okay, in the season.
Okay, great. I really appreciate it, Henrik. It was good catching up with you.
Nice talking to you. Finally, we had the time to talk. I had your telephone number for a very long time, and I called the number first time today because I was scared you would miss this.
I'm here. Sorry about the delays in the audio, but...
Don't worry, don't worry. It's the internet's fault, not us. You know, of course.
All right, buddy. Well, cheers. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Guy. Thank you. Thank you,
Have
Jason.
a good one.
Bye, bye.
Keep it sideways.
You too. Bye. Always. That was Jason Bonsignore, and we will go to the interview which I had with Posa Serenius last night, and here he is. So welcome to Speedway Crazy Show, Posa. So how are you in Sweden now? How's everything going?
Thank you very much.
How's the winter going? Is it a lot of minus degrees?
No, it's 5-6 degrees warm today here. 2 days ago it changed everything.
But that's summer temperature for you.
Before.
But that's like summer temperature for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
if you're going up 200 kilometers north, the winter beginning.
yeah. Because you're a world champion in ice speedway. You're a legend for many of our viewers and in the speedway world. But how's your life now after you resigned?
It's I can relax a little more on the winter now, but the last three winter I've been mechanic to Ove Ledström and his father, so
Yeah.
I follow them every winter to Russia, but not this winter.
Yeah. We brought you in here because you were a great friend of Ola Negren, which recently passed away.
Yeah.
And you guys, you had an amazing trip together, going from, was it Korea to all the way to Finland via Mongolia, Russia, Kazakhstan, and so on. How was
Yeah.
that trip? How did you do that trip?
Oh, it was so great. I never forget that trip because it was a amazing trip. It's so different country, and we fly from Sweden to South Korea, and the bike going by boat with Norway shipping, and after that we going to the head town in South Korea, and we was up to the Swedish embassy, take us up to the military because between North and South Korea in the 38.
So this is the picture where you are in this demilitarized zone between North and South Korea, and you are here with the delegation, as I understand, from.
Yeah, it was a Swedish military and people from Swedish embassy take us up to this, and we have a little. He was guiding there.
Yeah.
And you see in the background, you see the big house from on the north North Korea side, and the middle of the two house there was the border. So it was there Trump and Kim Jong-un going together over the border.
Yeah, that was not so long time ago. And in the center here we have Ola Negren sitting on one knee, holding his caps, is it? Yeah?
Yes, and Ole, and you see Ove Fundin also.
Yes.
The whole, everybody who was on the trip was there.
So, how old was Ola Negren on this trip? It was back in 2006?
I think he was 36 years old. It was 2006, I think it was.
So 76 years old?
Yeah, I think it was 76 years old. In that
So
time.
quite adult man going on a trip like that.
Yeah. but it was no problem for him to drive motorcycle there.
Nah, but you know, normally people are in nursing home at that age, you know.
No, but Ole is special, was a special man.
Yeah, we understand that. Everyone understand that. He was racing together with my grandfather too. So,
Yeah.
Olga Hansen, and I have this. My grandfather gave me before this show I would have here with you today, and
Yeah.
he gave me the list of the media's ranking of riders,
Yeah,
and Ola Negren is on every one of them. Not all the way on the top or something, but he's in this list of the 18 best world riders at all time in all the 50s and up to the 60s.
he was a very special man and a very, very good friend.
Yeah. I remember I went to Kumla in Sweden when I was just a child, and he had this Ola Negren Speedway school, and I was watching. I didn't ride myself at that time on that trip, but I was watching him all day doing the practice and teaching everyone. And he came to us, had dinner, and then he went away for something, and he came back in the evening, and everything was fine. Yeah, and the next day is the same. Fascinating guy.
I think young people today in Sweden, they don't understand how big Olle was 1950 or 60, how big he was in Sweden. Every newspaper, it was something about him.
Yes, because he had this character that was kind of different. He was this type of magnet to attention around him.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Ingemar Stenmark and Björn Borg, Ingemar Johansson, he was like them.
Yeah. No, I can see that, and also Norwegian media picked up a lot about him. When we look back in old newspapers, it was a lot of mention about Ola Negren in those articles. So he really did an impact, especially together with my grandfather, and it was quite cool to read. On your trip, you went also to Mongolia, was it? Via Mongolia?
Yeah, we when we're coming over to Russia, we come to Vladivostok first.
Yes.
And after that, we're going up in Russia and up to Baikal Lake, and after that down to Mongolia and to the head town Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is from one of the Mongol rally.
Yeah, it was an English pub.
Yes.
And then they have a Mongol rally, if you have heard about that.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
I think some Norway firemen going by an old fire car in that trip also. They starting from London and some different town, I think, and first man go. Everybody could take their own way. So
yeah.
And after that, they selling the car and the money going to help children in Mongolia, I think.
Some charity help. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the car. They must be an old car and not. You should buy the car not more than maybe. I don't know, maybe 10,000 Swedish crown, not more money. So
around 1,000 euro then. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a little different rally.
Yeah.
But we meet some when we come to Ulaanbaatar. I think 3 or 4 cars had coming, but it was maybe 50 cars together. But they coming different ways, so. Maybe many have problem after the road because the road was terrible in Mongolia.
But when you mention cars, I also picked up that Ola Negren, he raced Formula 1.
Yeah, I don't know if
He raced the Formula One match, I read, but the gearbox, the transmission broke on the car.
I'm not sure, but I know it was some Formula car he driving also.
Yeah. But you don't know that much about that, do you?
No, I have only seen picture of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I see. I think it was from Stockholm Skarpnäck when they had it was some track there.
Yeah, yeah. And then in the end here you getting closer then to Moscow, and here's a picture from, you can tell us where this is.
Yeah, it's a red square, and to the left you have Kreml, and to the right you have what is the name of that Vasilia Cathedral.
Yeah, yeah. So
I know the man who building that architect to that building. After he had building that, somebody asked him if he could building the same on another place.
okay.
Yes, he said. And when he said that, they take out his eyes, so
No.
he couldn't see nothing, so he couldn't do no more.
Ah.
What I heard, I'm not sure if it's true.
It's crazy story, of course.
Yeah, and when we stopped there, also the cameraman we should go over a line on the red square.
Yeah.
But when we come up there, the police coming directly.
Yeah. It's like,
So we have trouble about 1 hour there, and after that, people from Motorcycle Federation in Moscow.
they arrived.
Yeah, he coming and help us.
Yeah.
So it's not the first time we have problem in the Red Square.
No, but you know.
No, because first the year Erik Stenlund winning 1980 was it 82 or 84?
Yeah.
He winning there, and maybe it was about 50 people from Sweden take a train to Moscow, and on the Saturday they was drinking some vodka and was out on the Red Square, and there was a big school class was for a photo on the Red Square. Everybody, it was about 20 young girls. And Swedish people have a big banderole, Posa and Serenius on the banderole.
Yeah.
And this was on the communist time and Soviet time. So they take that banderole back on the girl, and it take about 5-6 seconds. Police coming and
No.
take that. I think it was a political demonstration.
Oh no.
Stay there maybe 30 minutes before they could explain everything, what it was. And
That you guys didn't want to become the new president of Russia or Soviet Union, but you only had a little bit fun.
the girl who was from the school, they was very scared when they see the banderole coming up.
Of course.
But after 30 minutes, they understand what it was, so they could go on the.
But this is you guys, you know.
Yeah.
You are a little bit different, all of you. Ola Negren, you, Ove Fundin, Ingmar Stengel, every one of you. You're a little bit different. You don't care that much if you break some rules here and rules there, and as long as it's fun and not dangerous. Am I right?
No, but even if you should driving ice racing, you must be a little crazy because you must be in Russia's.
All the time.
Driver, and you have so long way to drive also. In 2 years ago, we driving to Kazakhstan when I was mechanic to Ove Ledström.
Yeah.
And we have 6,000 kilometers to Almaty by car on the winter. So it's a long way. Under the Soviet time, we're going by train and we're going by fly, and so they take us to Moscow. After that, Moscow,
And then everything was centralized and organized. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
today, everybody going in their own car, and it can be very long way.
But since you're a group from Europe and you need to go all these kilometers, wouldn't it be better that you cooperated and did as they do in the Speedway Grand Prix when they go to Australia and New Zealand? Have this, everyone meets up in Warsaw or somewhere, put the bikes into boxes and send them on the cargo train, for example.
Yeah, but it's different with our Speedway. Small
Yes.
money, and it costs much money, and some people live in Germany, some people live in Austria and Holland, so it should be a problem, and the time is short also.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand. So, yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And here you managed to get home or this is closer to home. This is in Finland, is it?
This is, I think it's in Helsinki.
Yes.
Before going to the ferry and go over to Sweden.
But this trip must have been insanely cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think about it every day. How much you meet so much people there, and friendly people, and it's so many memories of this trip.
Last time I met Nygren was at some Speedway Grand Prix. I cannot remember exactly where. I think it was Torun in Poland. In Torun in Poland. I think it was there I met him together with Ove Fundin and these guys, and they're always so happy, They're always full of life, always so happy, and nice, polite, and also funny. They always have this sparkle in the eye. Ola Negren, yeah.
Yeah.
And always a funny joke.
I like him. He was a very good man.
Yeah. So
you see the movie about him also?
I personally didn't see the movie right now, but I need to tell the viewers to watch this movie.
Yeah.
It should be online somewhere. And do you know the title of this movie? Do you have it in your head?
No, I don't remember what it was. But I give you that later.
Yeah, we will find out and put it on our website, of course. So normally when people pass away, we have 1 minute of silence.
Yeah.
But in Ola Nygren's world, would it be correct to say, go out to your garage and drive your motorcycle on full throttle for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Would that be correct?
I think so.
So
Yeah.
everybody should go out in their garage and start their engines and run it for 1 minute for Ola Negren.
That should be very good.
Yeah, much better. Thank you, Posa.
Thank you.
And we will bring you back another time, and we will talk about your career much more. And because you are like a storybook.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are like a big legend, and we're so happy that you are here. And we will take advantage of you a little bit later.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was the show we had for you today. It was the longest show we ever made, but I think it was a good one. Thank you to Jason and Per-Olof Posa, and to my production crew, Kuba Baranski, Tommy, and Gosha. Next week we will have Mark Lemon from Australia. He's the national team coach for Australia. But this guy, he is on a mission. And he's on a mission, and we will tell you more about that next Wednesday at 9 o'clock Central European Time. See you.